Hello everyone, my name is Zobia Gatta, and today I'll be presenting my universal design project. My presentation focuses on people with spinal cord injuries, how leisure professionals can adapt activities to make them more inclusive, and how universal design principles apply to two different locations, the Great Wall of China and the National Aquarium. One of the most popular leisure activities for people with spinal cord injuries is wheelchair basketball. It's played all over the world and is even one of the major sports in the Paralympic Games. There are several important adaptations that make the sport accessible. Players use lightweight sports wheelchairs with angled wheels for better speed and stability. In the game, the wheelchair is considered part of the player's body when determining fouls. Another adaptation is that players are allowed to push their wheelchair up to two times after receiving the ball before they have to dribble or pass. These adaptations allow athletes to compete fairly while still following the basic rules of basketball. Leisure adaptation awareness for people with spinal cord injuries. When working with individuals who have spinal cord injuries, leisure professionals need to think about both accessibility and safety. Facilities should include ramps, wide doorways, and smooth flooring so wheelchair users can move around easily. Equipment should be lightweight or modified to reduce the amount of upper body strength needed. Rules can also be adjusted by giving participants more time to react or use their equipment. Finally, professionals should always understand each participant's medical needs, recognize potential risk, and have an emergency plan in place. Great Wall of China accessibility. The first location I evaluated was the Great Wall of China. Although some sections can be reached by wheelchair, the Great Wall is generally not very accessible because of its steep slopes and uneven pathways. It would be very difficult for someone with a manual wheelchair. An electric wheelchair would make traveling easier, but even then many sections are still inaccessible. The steep inclines also increase the risk of losing control of a wheelchair and require a great deal of physical effort. So in this slide, I included a photo, and in the next slide, you're going to also see some photos. These photos are directly from the virtual tour. So as you can see, this is the flooring of the Great Wall of China, and as you can see, the flooring is not very great as the weeds are coming out from the floor and getting in the way, which can be a problem for people who are using wheelchairs or are maneuvering using a walking stick. And as you can see, there are a bunch of cracks in the walkway, and it's very uneven surface, which would make it very difficult for anyone using a wheelchair or walking stick. These two photos are also directly from the virtual tour. As you can see in the photo all the way to your left, it rapidly declines and then rapidly inclines. This would be very difficult to maneuver as someone on a wheelchair because you have to have good control of the wheels, and if you're going down, if you're declining rapidly, your wheelchair could keep going and it would just cause you to crash. So it's very important that people who are going on the Great Wall of China and are using a wheelchair, that they know how to maneuver their brakes really well. And as you can see, it inclines very rapidly. So going up is going to be very physically demanding because you're using your arms to move your entire body up on an incline. Next, as you can see on the right photo, there are these little speed bump-like things in the walkways, and also you can see in the right photo as well. Having these could be very annoying while being on a wheelchair. I just don't find it like very accessible. It could become an issue for people who are using a walking stick, who are people who are visually impaired. When they're using like a walking stick, this could cause some difficulty for them because they're gonna keep bumping into this. And as you can see, the texture of the walkway is very uneven again. So I just feel like the Great Wall of China is not very accessible from the virtual tour. Next, I did the National Aquarium accessibility. Overall, from the virtual tour, it looks very accessible. The flooring is very wide and even making it easier to maneuver and use using a wheelchair. All aquarium tanks and information description was lower, making it viewable to wheelchair users. The only cons I saw was that the information description was small text and the lighting was very dark. But I also checked on the site and saw that audio and braille tours are available to visitors. So as you can see, this is what I meant that it was very dark. As you can see in both the photos, is especially in the right, you can see that it's very dark. Although you can see that it's a very open space which wheelchair users can use very easily and maneuver. The walkways are very wide and smooth. There isn't any inclines or declines in the flooring. And as you can see in the left photos, that the text is kind of small, so it would be hard for people who have visual impairments. However, I noticed on the site that they have a bunch of tours which include like audio tours, braille tours, they have sign language interpreters, and they have so much accessibility that this text, the small text, is not like as much, it wouldn't create as much of a barrier due to their other options. 7 principles of design. So for the Great Wall of China, it had flexible use, simple and intuitive, perceptible, usable size and space. The walkway was generally very like wide for wheelchair users, but it was not equitable, not for everyone due to uneven pavement and like no like smooth pavement and steep ramps and low physical effort, that it was very high physical effort for everyone, no matter if you have a disability or not. The Great Wall is well over 13,000 miles, so it is physically demanding for everyone. However, if you are a wheelchair, if you're a person who uses a wheelchair, this could be much more physically demanding. Tolerance for error. Because of the steep inclines and declines, if someone loses control of a wheelchair and it crashes into something, that cause great harm to many people who are walking and for the wheelchair users. So I that was my overall impression of it. For the National Aquarium, I thought it was very accessible. It had equitable use, flexible use. Um, if you couldn't read small text or if you are a person who is blind, there were much accessible options for you, like Braille and the audio tours. Tolerance for error. I didn't see like very much things that would cause harm. The only thing was the safety concern of very dim lights. It was very dark and that could pose as a safety issue. Low physical effort. Um, it was like there was no ramps or anything. It was just like smooth walkways, no inclines, no declines. Usable size and space. It was wheelchair accessible, wide doorways, and the information was very perceptible. Collection of Reflection of locations for the Great Wall of China, I felt that guests wouldn't feel as welcome just because it looked very inaccessible to me. Again, because of the pavements and the flooring and the incline and the rapid declines. You can also see it in the photo I provided as well, a much more like clear photo. And my suggestions would be to add side railings, fix pavement, provide electric wheelchairs, and have rest areas along the ways. For the National Aquarium, improvement suggestions I had was lights along walkways, just because it was really dark, and people should see where they're going, just anyone. Um, and informative text in larger text. I felt like the sizing was very small and it could be a bit bigger so that people can easily view it. And I felt that guests would feel welcome. They're very accessible to me. So my reflection of the assignment, I felt that it was very um fun to do. I liked researching the locations. The only thing I really struggled on was finding like the virtual tours weren't that big to me. I felt like there wasn't much to go off of. Um, and you definitely had to like look around in the virtual tours. Just like it wasn't very big to me. Um, and you didn't get to really see much. However, other than that, it was really good. Any information that I couldn't like see in the virtual tour, I researched. That's how I go over that problem. But for the beginning of the project with the wheelchair basketball, I had a lot of information, which is really good. I enjoyed doing this project very much. Thank you guys so much for listening.